I am in the middle of talking about creative financing, and we'll get into this here. But I bought a property on creative financing, and I just turned around and sold that bitch on creative financing. I've been cash flowing for the last 3 years, and I'm about to make, what was that, $55,000 on it, right? Paid off a quick little $30,000 loan that helped me get out of a little hole. And I'm gonna be walking away with an extra 25 grand.
And then that 30,000 is now available to invest elsewhere.
Exactly.
And it's been money that's
and the guy who bought it from me is going to be getting a double-digit cap, which you don't get on a single-family house here in Phoenix. So win-win-win. So anyway, guys, we are the AZ Flip guys. That is CashFlow Kris. This is CashFlow Creator. We are just two ordinary guys doing extraordinary things, talking about real estate, mindset, and everything in between. Holy fuck, and we are so excited today to have our guest. If you guys have heard the AZ Flip guys, if you guys have been following our last shows, if you guys have been checking out our shows on the podcast, you guys have been hearing me talk about the kingdom, and it's just something that's been a huge blessing in our lives, something that I've felt that has been a huge blessing for people that are part of that community. And the person that actually brought me into the kingdom is our guest here today, Mr. Ed Peugh. So before we get started with Ed over here, man, I just want to tell you guys that we officially closed on that apartment complex over in Bisbee. So we had actually, Ed, I don't know if you saw this, but Kate, who showed up to the other Aussie, she drove her ass down to fucking Bisbee to meet me, and she spent a whole day with me, and she saw the whole ins and outs of buying which basically what we did is we bought a extended stay motel, and we're transferring over into a long-term apartment complex. So she saw how I dealt with the people. She saw how I dealt with the city. She went with me to turn on some utilities and some other stuff that we needed to do. And it was just an amazing thing. And that all comes from networking. Speaking of networking, we got Greg Cook in the house who's saying, "What's up, guys?" Greg Cook is always here, always being consistent. And Greg, I highly suggest you check out Kingdom Real Estate. Now, I'm going to put this out there. I don't get paid for it. You motherfuckers ain't paying me shit. But I do highly believe it. And in this show, we don't sell shit. We don't pitch it. We just try to add value. So, Ed, why don't you tell people who you are, and then we can kind of get into a little bit of our topic here in a minute.
Yeah, awesome. So I love the introduction that you and Chris give, which is like you're just two ordinary dudes. So my brother, my business partner, and I, my brother Taylor and I are just two normal dudes. If we talk about a little bit about our background, it might have even been kind of the upper lower class upbringing, all of that stuff. Been working a long time. Been working since I was a teenager to kind of help pay bills in our household and stuff like that. And went through a series of things to look at, getting into the rat race, right? Like get that great job, get the college degree, get all that in order. And you end up looking up, and there's just not the type of freedom that you really are interested in. So I've been a real estate investor since about 2005, but really turned the corner in 2013. And so between 2013 and 2016, we bought something like 26 or 28 single family houses. We then sold that portfolio to make the move into multifamily, which is the same move you guys are making. Love it. And matter of fact, the first one of those was actually a creative structure of how we took that down. Now, fast forward from that was 2016, fast forward to 2019. And just a couple of months ago, we actually just exited that project, took home a check of over $200,000. And along that time, we've become involved as mentors with The Kingdom Real Estate. You gave us the plug on that, so thanks for that. For anyone who's in or near the Charlotte market, May 24th, 25th, and 26th, our team is coming together. VP and Chris, I think we're still trying to figure out a way to get you guys out there, so hopefully we can connect on that.
Oh, we're there, man. It's already done.
Hey, for sure. We've already made that commitment.
Yeah.
Hey, we are going to be in Charlotte, so definitely. And that's one of the great things about the kingdom is not only is it a great online community, because people, it's a group, private Facebook group, and a lot of online community with a lot of different value. Which, speaking of, man, dude, I was just rewatching my fucking video that I did, because that was so fucking good. Like, I'm not patting myself in the back, but as a speaker, you know
sure?
when you did fucking good. And sometimes even as a speaker, you need to hear your own fucking message. Yep. So I've been in the position where I needed to hear my own message. And I've actually been listening to the same audio that I put on there about 3-4 times now. And I was like, God damn, man, this is fucking dope. So be able to be a part of that is awesome. But then when you go to the events like Kingdom Connect, which he talked about, it's something to see somebody on stage and the guy shows up, takes off, and here, there, hi, bye, that's it. But to be able to be in these rooms, to be able to eat with these people, to be able to sip cocktails with these people, to be able to talk and share. And even if you're just a fly in the wall, because a lot of times people always say, man, I wish I was a fly in the wall that one time you were hanging out with, fill in the fucking blank, right? Well, you get a chance to be that. You get a chance to be that. And it's just been an amazing transformation that I have seen in people. And it's been an awesome opportunity for Kris and myself to be able to give back to people out there.
Yeah, people throw the word family out there a lot, but you guys really do seem like a family. Everybody's looking to help each other out. It's a cool group. I was excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm just excited that we've been able to have you guys with us the last couple of times, and certainly hope that can continue. It's been really fun.
Yeah, so guys, we always talk about the same thing here. We always talk about networking. Speaking about the kingdom, we got Miguel Angel over here. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us. We got Johnny Sanchez in the house. Hey, another kingdom member over here. We got our girl Sonia. We got Armando joining us. So we always talk about networking, and we always talk about the power of networking. And one of the things that people don't realize is that you can network in any given scenario in all aspects of your life. So I personally never met this motherfucker. Like, I didn't know who the fuck Ed was at all. Just like people tend to do in Facebook, especially when you're getting yourself into a niche, which our particular niche happens to be real estate investing. You start surrounding yourself with those people, and you start kind of adding friends on Facebook. And I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching us on Facebook Live right now, or who will watch the replay, has random friends that you just added because either mutual friends or some similar interests, or you guys work in the same industry or whatever. So Ed was one of those type of guys that we just added each other. I'm not sure who added who, but we just added each other. And eventually, we just started seeing each other's posts. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, man, I really like your style. This is probably like, 2 years ago or something, man? It was a while back.
When did you look, BP? I know I know the first time something you were doing caught my attention, which was you were doing it was either the water drive or the Thanksgiving drive. I don't remember which was first.
Nice.
But you were doing like some charity work, and I was like, dude, this is a dude who's like after our same heart, the way he's doing this. And that's actually, so that was what, like, 2 years ago, probably, something like that.
Yeah, it was a while. I think I've been running that for about 3 years.
Yeah.
So it could have been somewhere around that time frame. Nonetheless, he's like, hey, man, I really, really like your style. I really like what you have to do. Would you mind jumping on a phone call? And if I remember correctly, it was you and your brother where we jumped on a phone call, and we just kind of like, we didn't really have a plan. We were just kind of talking, getting to know each other. I remember you mentioning something about this event that you had, and at some point you kind of, you expressed interest and potentially bringing me on and speaking. Yeah. And, through networking, we were able to build a relationship. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, and I always talk about this through networking. I tell this all my mentoring students. But you are like a spider, and your network is like a spider web. And every single person that you know is a thread that goes out. So I knew Ed. Ed had a thread. Now, within Ed's thread, he's connected to other people. That shit branches out. Because I was connected with Ed, Ed connected me to the Kingdom family. Because I went to the Kingdom family, I met some amazing individuals. Some people that were in the audience. Some of them were other speakers. And we have been able to build relationship with these people. Because of that relationship, that added more value to us outside of the event, where we stayed connected, especially like Troy. We reached out to him, and he's really, really been beneficial for us in our business and helping us take what we're doing to the next level. And then moving forward and connecting with people, connecting with them online, doing encouragement, seeing people that heard you talk and then decided to leave their fucking mama's house in fucking North Dakota to come in.
Just jump in a car and just like, look, I need more BP in my life is what he said, right?
Man, it's crazy because you don't know. First of all, guys, you don't know who the fuck is watching you, okay? You need to act like everybody's watching you in all aspects of your life. And my mentor always says the exact same thing. How you do anything is how you do everything. If I know that you're constantly showing up late to something, I know that your ass is going to more likely be late with my ass. And that way it means that probably we're not going to fucking even set up the appointment to begin with, because I'm not looking to do that. How you do anything is how you do everything. So we got a lot of people here joining us. We got Armando says, what's going on, fellas? We got Johnny Sanchez saying, hey, shout out to Johnny. He has been part of the Kingdom Connect. I know Helena has been telling him forever to connect with me. She's another one of our Kingdom members there. He put it out there and he said, hey, I see you're talking about these mastermind groups you go with every single Tuesday. I'm going to go out there. And I'm like, look, motherfucker, if you don't show up, I'm going to publicly haze your ass because I'm fucking tired of you not doing this shit. Shout out to him for actually showing up on Tuesdays. We got Ashley Hernandez, who is our guest here for next week. She says, hey, guys, Brian, your mindset video was bomb. Already almost done with Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset book. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ed, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, so you're so committed to that mentoring program, the Tuesday morning. Even when we were out there wrapping up our Kingdom Connect event, you gave us the invite, and we had a plane to catch, right? But we came in, we were even there for like an hour and a half, and I even came away with notes. I was like, man, like, this is money. So those of you who are in the local market and BP has invited you guys and you guys have pushed out and not shown up, man, you're weak. Just like, you're trying to hand them the keys and they're not even trying to be interested. That one opportunity alone will change someone's life.
And honestly, that is crazy what you said. You're trying to hand them the keys and people are not even interested. And that is probably one of the biggest frustrations for my mentor, Jeff, is how little people actually show up on a weekly basis for this information that he's giving away for free. Right. It's insane to see how many people are in that mindset and they don't even think about it. So, Ed, I know that one thing that we talked about was that you were actually, I don't know, you grew up in the same neighborhood that I grew up with, or similar neighborhood.
Similar place, yeah.
That I grew up with in Southern California, South LA, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that experience? Because I don't think any people looking at you, they'll be like, look at this fucking white boy living in goddamn North Carolina, South Carolina. Like, what the fuck does he know about the hood in LA? But you actually grew up in that area. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I grew up in like Compton and like, it wasn't like that. But we certainly grew up in an area where, you know, we were kind of what would be like lower middle class. Like, mom took a bus to work, you know, she had to catch the connecting bus and she went into an area of LA called Maywood. Maywood's a rough neighborhood. You know, I would catch a bus to go to work. I used to go to work in I don't know if you know this area of BP, but an area called Buena Park. But we'd catch the bus down there. And, you know, like, coming up, a lot of people like look at people who've accomplished a lot of things and say, oh, well, they must have had, you know, a trust fund and they must have had a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Look, I didn't even take the SATs and I didn't take the PSATs. I didn't take the SATs. I didn't take any other test. I wasn't going to college. Like, no one was paying for me to go to school like that. You know what I mean? So that was never even an option. Matter of fact, my high school, my cumulative GPA in high school was like 1.76 or something. So, I mean, like, you don't got to be a like super smart dude to do
bad grades, guys. That's what that means. Bad grades.
yeah, that's not great. I think my last 2 years in high school, I stepped up a little bit and cleared just over that 2.0 or something. I don't know. But like, it's just not, like, you got to move past where you came from. Like, and you tell that story really well. I mean, if I had lived in the reality of where my parents started, like, we wouldn't be in the road that we're on now. But thankfully,
and you know, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here, is just the perception that people have when people see somebody, you know, for whatever reason, and maybe because I'm darker skinned, you know, people see somebody like me, they can it's easier for them to conceive, hey, this guy probably had a rougher upbringing or whatever. But they see somebody like you, they're like, oh man, this guy's probably had it made. You know, his mom, his dad, they probably had a good life growing up, and kind of dismiss that. And one of the things that people do is they tend to make excuses for themselves as to why they're not where they want to be. And it's a lot easier to make excuses outward than it is to make excuses inward, than to just feel like, hey, man, this is really what's going on. So we got, man, we got a lot of people over here. We got Sonia who's saying go back and reread it. We got Matthew McDonald saying what's up. We got Greg Cook saying let's network. You are sure about that. We got our boy Jordan Payne. What's up, buddy? Thank you for joining us, Jordan. He said Ed is a rock star. Johnny Sanchez claiming us over here. Guys, and if you guys are listening to us on podcast land, make sure that you download this episode. Make sure that you give us a 5-star review, and make sure that you share it, because as we've been saying, we don't sell anything. We don't pitch anything. We're just giving out valuable information. And in a little bit, we're going to start talking about creative financing. And if you guys have questions about creative financing, please make sure that you let us know. And guys, if you guys are listening to if you guys are watching us on YouTube, if you guys are catching us on a replay, if you guys are downloading this on a podcast, this is the benefit of joining us live. You can actually join in, talk shit, and ask some questions directly from the people. But if you are listening to a recording, or if you are listening to a podcast and you do have questions, just make sure you put it right there in the comments. So we got Sonia Ray who says the 2% Club is live on Facebook if you're not in Phoenix. Yes, and you know what?
About time.
Dude, this is the thing. People are always full of fucking shit, right? That's how we got to our first I was just telling somebody that another public speaker friend of mine came into town, and she called me and we were hanging out yesterday. And I told her about my experience and how basically going to the kingdom shifted the way that I presented my presentation. Because normally before I had a set presentation, but when I got to the kingdom, I was like, you know what? This needs to be said. Like, this needs to be said right now. And I said, you motherfuckers are full of shit. Like, you guys are straight up full of shit. I'm fucking tired of hearing all you motherfuckers complain about why you can't make it, why your shit's not bigger, why you can't raise any money, all this stuff. You guys are just completely full of shit. For everybody out there that ever always responds, hey, man, I wish we had something like that. Oh, they need to start something like that. I've heard that shit like 4 times this last week. Then I posted about my 2% Club. They need to have something like that in my neighborhood. Motherfucker, start it. Start it. But seriously, not only are you not going to start it, you're not even going to tune in to your fucking Facebook and hit fucking play. When
Tell them
for free. God.
Tell them, BP. Tell them.
Fucking shit. Sonia says 7 generations of Kevin Bacon. It's actually 7 degrees. It's 6 degrees of separation.
Degrees,
that was the name of the game. But you're saying exactly what you're saying. Welcome for everybody joining us over there in the watch party. We got our girl Celie from the kingdom. Man, I'm telling you guys. Network.
People are showing up, Ed.
Yes. Holy shit. Is that Ramon? Holy fuck. We got Ramon says, hola, amigos. Soy muy orgulloso. Thank you. And for you guys that don't know Ramon, man, I'm really, I got to look up some tickets, but if I can make the time, I'm going to be down in Miami, dude. He's having a fucking private mastermind. It's to raise money for this charity, but it's nothing but top-notch fucking Corey Peterson, Tim Bratz type level motherfuckers. So yes, you know those we'll be talking to you. I know that guy, right?
And so, you know what? High-level masterminds are kind of what it's all about. You know, you always want to be elevating yourself. You always want to be the dumbest guy in the room, so to say. You know, the smallest guy. Would you agree with that, Ed?
Oh, 100.
You know?
Like, and that's one of the reasons why, like, folks like you guys, folks like us have kind of started traveling, in that some of the rooms that we get into, like, so we're out of the Charlotte market. Like, I love going into rooms and adding value to people, but sometimes I need to be in this space where I'm the one who's just like taking notes. You know what I mean? Just talking, just asking questions and taking notes. And
that's what I loved about the kingdom. And, you know, the guy that I mentioned, the kid, and I call him a kid because he's barely fucking 21. His world was rocked. He didn't know what the fuck to do. He came from a town of 1,000 people to a fucking big city hanging around with millionaires and shit. And then he just noticed that we're all just regular people.
Right.
We're all chilling, we're hanging, we're talking. And even as the speaker, you know, I was a speaker on that panel there. It was still a lot of information that I was like, shit, I've never heard about that. Man, that's fucking awesome. You know, when Troy got up there, where everybody's taking notes and stuff. Todd got up and said Todd said something about financing your wholesale assignment.
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, you know, instead of taking fucking $20,000 up front, why don't you tell them, hey man, give me $5,000 down and then pay me the rest in payments and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And here's the interest on the payments. I had never even heard of the concept, but that's what happens when you surround yourself with masterminds. That's what happens when you go to these events. And whatever level you're at, always, always, always make sure that you're trying to reach up and go around other people that know, whether they be more than you in the same subject or something else about a different subject where you can learn from them. And that's one of the things that I really like about what you guys do over there. So you're in the Charlotte market. How long ago was it when you decided to look into real estate? Because if I remember correctly, I think your brother was in real estate before you. If I'm not,
it's the other way around. So in 2005, I bought my first investment property, which, by the way, for all the listeners out there, I'm still losing money on that property today. So if you want to invest with the best, like I'm still losing money on my very first investment ever. That's how good I am.
Well, but, you guys were peaking over in 05, 06, just like we were, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I made a bad buy, and I spent too much in rehab, and I didn't do my, like, everything. You know, I didn't have a community around me of people I could even ask questions to. And that's one reason why we're so passionate about it now is, like, how much further would I have been if I didn't have to overcome the negative cash flow that I'd created with that first deal? Like, I was trying to get in the market. So at least, hey, I'll give myself that. Like, at least I jumped in. But how much further could I be if I hadn't had to, like, kind of carry that big old rock with me? But okay, so 2005 to like 13, I had bought like 5 or 6 single family properties. So like in our world, that's, you know, like for you guys, for us, that's not a lot, right? I mean, it's really just a hobby at that point. So 2013 comes and we start learning about how the hedge funds are making these buying decisions and how they're underwriting properties. And what I find is, instead of doing the underwriting to help them, what if I just took the way they underwrote and started doing it myself? I can move a lot quicker than they can. Mm-hmm. So 2013 to 2016, like I said, we bought about, it's either 26 or 28 single family houses. I can't remember the exact number. And so
you guys did that in a 2-year period when you guys first started.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we really say is the start of our journey as like real estate investors.
Nice. So we got Ramon over here who's saying, if you guys can make it, we would still appreciate a donation. Ramon, if you're still with us, do me a favor, put the link on there.
Want that link?
We would love to. It's a great cause. But more than anything, you already know I'm gonna fuck any excuse to go to Miami. Like, you already know I'm fucking there. Yeah, and then to go hang out with you already know I'm fucking there. And then to go hang out with all of our friends, mutual friends, you already know I'm fucking there too. So anyway,
that's like three ways. I'm already there. You're already there, you know?
Yeah. And so, hey, speaking of the devil, we got our boy Max joining us here, man. Hey, shout out to Big Max over there. We got Marcus Shields over here. We got John Castro says watching from Rocky Point. Woo,
yeah,
woo.
international.
And that's the great thing, guys, is that you guys can literally watch from anywhere. So we're going to be getting into here shortly. We're going to be getting into creative financing. We're going to be talking about how you guys were able to buy 26 properties, because I doubted, based on your background that you told me, that you guys just had a shit ton of money stashed in a bank somewhere where you said, hey, let's go buy some properties with this money. Let's just not have it sitting there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like that for sure.
I'm pretty sure that's not. So we got Dennis Daughtry joining us here in the watch party, saying, what's up, guys? Always entertaining. And we appreciate that. One of the things that we love to do is we call it edutainment. We are here to have fun, but we're also here to learn. And that's that. If you guys know me personally, you know that's the way that I do things. So
we got Alberto Ceja and Danielle. Questions for Ed. Post them right now. I mean, seriously, we got him live. He's right here. He's doing all these creative deals. If you got questions, post it below. And
and you know what the fuck? People always do this on the show. They always wait till the end to start asking questions. So Ed's going to come in here. He's going to start talking about creative financing. They probably already had a question, and now they're going to fucking ask it after he talks about this shit. So once again, you didn't have... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then we're going to have to squeeze our answer into like 7 seconds, you know?
So you didn't have money, or at least a big fucking pile of money sitting in the bank, where you and your brother said, hey man, let's go buy 26 houses.
Yeah.
How did you purchase these properties?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that. In fact, the month we got started, his car got repoed, and then we were able to scratch together from doing a deal. We were able to scratch together enough money to get his car out of repo. And then a couple weeks later or a month later, it got repoed again. So like, not only did we not have money to put in these deals, like we didn't have money to keep the car note current. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Man, you can't park your car at home if you're running from.
All right. So we had it all figured out. We had it all figured out because I had a garage, right? So you could just like figure it out and get it in there and then whatever. But what happened was somehow they must have turned on the GPS because he went out to a job site with one of our local mentors. And as soon as he parked the car there, they pulled up right behind him. And the tow truck was right there. So nothing like showing up at one of the first rehabs your mentors invited you to come out to, and your car gets repoed like right there. You're like,
so yeah, what you're saying, Ed, is that you don't need money to make money. That's what I heard in that fucking story, because what I heard is that y'all motherfuckers were broke as shit. Yeah, you guys were so fucking broke that you couldn't keep up with your car note. And here's the thing, they don't come tow your car because you're 30 days late. Nah, you have to be way later than that. That means you guys were really broke. Not to.
And we were ducking them for a while, BP. Like we had it pulled in the garage and we were blocking it and all that, and they finally catch up with you. So good news is the cars are paid off now, so that's good news. But
so the people selling these properties. You notice that you guys want to get into real estate. You want to buy these properties. There's obviously people selling them. These people aren't just going to give you their houses for free. How were you able to, with no money, negative money, actually, be able to buy a property and eventually be able to buy 26 properties within a 2-year span?
So there's really two terms that have helped us do that. First is our private money network. And you guys talk about that all the time. I mean, that's like everything you guys are living in. And so thankfully, we've had people who have believed in the deals that we found and have been willing to put some money on the table. And then over time, sometimes we refinance those people out, either with conventional money or other private money. So we've done some of that, but then we've become really effective at finding subject to transactions specifically. And so for those,
are you going to explain it?
Yeah, I'll hit it.
Okay, good. Please explain it, because here's the thing that we notice a lot with our guests is that we're so used to this shit. We're around it. Our daily lives are surrounded by this. So we talk with terms like sub two, like people know what the fuck we're talking about. So just if you don't know, what is a subject to deal?
Yeah. So let me do it like this. There's 3 types of creative financing that are creative deals that are really like the broad pieces of how people put together what are considered creative financing deals. Mm-hmm. So the first is seller financing. Okay. All that means is that the person who used to own the house is now the private lender on the property. That one's pretty straightforward. The person who used to own the house is now the lender on your property. Okay. And we can talk about some specifics there. But the second one is called a subject to transaction. And that's the, hey, to the seller, hey, I'll take over your mortgage payments, right? That's how we say it typically. But the reason it's called a subject to is I'm taking possession of that property. I become the owner subject to their existing financing.
That is correct.
We've done a lot of deals that way. And one of the primary ways that we initially found a lot of these deals were we would find homeowners who were in the foreclosure process and didn't have the money to catch their mortgage back up.
And I'm not too interested in how you were pulling your leads, because people pull their leads however they pull their leads.
Sure.
However, what I am interested in is how you were able to buy a property with little to no money. Now, when you first started there, you were doing a lot of subject tos, which, as you said, it's subject to the existing loan. Basically, Chris has a house here that he's got a mortgage payment on, and Chris, for whatever reason, can no longer make those payments, or and in the case of this quote unquote subject to that I got, which was more of a lease option, but that's different, and we can talk about that in a minute. The lady needed to move. She didn't have enough equity in her house to sell. She had great credit, didn't want to fuck up her credit, and wherever her job was relocating at, she had already locked down a few properties that she wanted to buy. So she just didn't want to ding on her credit, and she didn't want to be a landlord from a different state. So she was like, I'm just willing to sell this to you for what I owe, basically. And I said, well, instead of doing that, let me take over your payments. So I took over her existing payments. Now, in my case, I didn't do a subject to where I took on title. I actually did a lease option, which basically I leased a property for her for 10 years with the option to buy it at the price that she owed at that point. But that was just being creative. So you went in there and you were finding these deals and you were approaching these people and saying, hey, I see that you're behind on your payments. We can help you avoid foreclosure, get rid of the house, get rid of this headache, whatever the case is, right?
Exactly. And so it's interesting you mentioned that lease option deal that you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Our very first creative deal was actually a lease option that was almost exactly the same thing. The guy had lived in Charlotte. He moved with his family to Atlanta where they were renting a house. And in the meantime, he was trying to rent his home here in Charlotte. Well, it turns out the home was just dirty, right? Mm-hmm. And so he couldn't get a renter to come in there. He finally called someone we knew. They called me. I went to the house. It happened to be like 3 blocks from where I live. And I walked through the home and noticed the reason that they're not getting anyone to list it through MLS is it was dirty. I worked out a lease option with him. And that was actually the first creative deal we ever did.
Nice. So we actually have a few questions here, guys. And I promise you we will get to your questions. We got Mark Holder over here in the watch party. He was asking, when you started out, what was the minimum amount of private money you accepted? And we'll get into that in just 1 second, because if you're dealing with these properties, somebody is behind on payments or needs some work done. Like you said, in this particular case, they didn't have it clean, or they needed some type of work where they couldn't just list it on the MLS to rent it out. Sure. So you just mentioned that you guys were negative on your bank account. How did you guys pay for the money that you needed? And I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that the answer is going to be private money, correctly?
Yeah. So there's really 2 things to do. The first is, like in our case, we were able to do a couple wholesale deals. That's how we got the cars current. That's how we had a little bit of cash. But our first deal, we only put, it was like $3,500 into it. So yeah, I know that's not zero money, right? But
how much was the house worth?
$260,000.
Okay,
1.5%.
So exactly. So he took over a property worth $260,000 for $3,500 out of his pocket.
And one other part about that, by the time we closed on that property, I had a tenant in place who'd given me the first and last month rent and a pet deposit that was $3,700.
No, that's what I'm talking about, guys.
So then,
hustling, man, that's staying ahead of the game, because a lot of people, they get lazy, they wait till they take it over, and then they start their marketing. No, man, when you are low on cash, you got to be ahead of the game.
You got to run, man. You got to run.
Yeah,
we got our boy. We got our boy Dylan over here in the house, man. Thank you for joining us, Dylan. Dylan is part of the Kingdom. He's part of the back end group that helps them run and organize, and you do a very fucking awesome job, man. I actually saw your post about your company and getting more clients under that. So good job under that.
You're in a good network for that.
Yes, yeah. So Manuel Ariano says, thank you. I've always wondered what a subject to was. And you see, and that's why we talk about it. And one of the things that I have to do as a mediator for the show is I always have to kind of tone back the conversation to make sure that people are understanding what we're talking about. So we got Mark Holder, who says, when you started, what's the minimum amount of private money you accepted? For you guys who don't know what private money is, just a private individual. So I am in Ed's position, and my car just got fucking repoed. I don't have any fucking money. I found this deal though, and it's a great deal, and I can take over a $260,000 house for $3,500, right? I just don't have the $3,500 in my. Actually, I'm not only in my negative, but I probably got some bills coming up this month too. Well, my good buddy CashFlow Kris over here, because he's smart, he's got the money. I say, hey Chris, would you let me borrow like $10,000 so I can take down this property or whatever the fuck it is, right? $3,500, whatever it is. As long as I pay him back his money the way that he wants his money paid, and for the most part, I'm assuming that for the $3,500 that you took over the payment, you turn around and rented it. What was your cash flow on that, if you remember?
So we our payment was like $1,150, and we rented it for $1,650.
Woo!
So you had like you have maintenance expenses and stuff, so it wasn't $500 every month.
Of course.
But for you to get like $400 plus a month, again, I didn't have any money in the deal after I took those deposits, right?
Now, guys, let's say that Chris here did let me, in this hypothetical situation, did let me borrow $10,000, and anyway, that's what private money is for you guys that don't know. Chris's money is considered private money. It's not coming from a bank and institution. It's coming from a private individual. So he says, hey, man, I'm going to give you the money, and I want a 10% return on my investment because the bank is only paying me 2% on the fucking money market, and I want 10%. If you guys can't do math, basically $10,000 at 10% means that he wants to get $1,000 in profit for the whole year on his $10,000 invested. If that's you do $1,000, you divide that by 12, that's less than $100 a month. So out of the $400 or $500 that you're making, you're giving Kris his $80, $75 a month. You're keeping the difference. He's happy as shit. You're happy as shit. Return. And that is creative financing. But guys, that is private money. And sometimes, as Ed was saying, his first deal, they actually used their own money because they already had a little bit of money from wholesaling and stuff like that. But it didn't particularly have to. And I know that moving forward, you guys have pretty much stopped using your own money, right? So just to answer Mark's question, so it doesn't go unanswered.
Sure.
What was your first amount of what was the minimum amount of private money you accepted when you first started?
$35,000. My very first private lender. She wrote me a check for $35,000. And I'm going to tell folks, man, when you land your first private money lender, no matter what amount they write on that check, you have changed the game for you because you understand now that it's real, that someone will do it. So she's still a really good friend of mine today. But yeah, I met her through some networking. We sat down at a Starbucks. She asked me a bunch of questions, some of which I didn't know the answers to. And I was just like, hey, I don't know the answer to that. Let me check on it. I'll get back to you. I text her back.
You met your first private money lender by what? What was that word again? How did you meet him?
The same one to throw around, bro.
Network. You were networking, guys. We talk about this shit all the fucking time. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and
how you know them.
And how do you know them, right, man, bro? So networking. We got Sonia Ray here asking, if you knew what you know now, would you do anything different, like focusing on one certain market or another?
I would be like, all right, I'm gonna give you an example. I would be working harder. So just last week, we put in an offer for 26 single family houses because that's what I thought I had the bandwidth to do. And then I was at my local meetup. So I host a local meetup here in the Charlotte market. It's called The Exchange. It's just a networking meetup. If you guys are in the market, come hang out with us. One of my buddies shows up at the meetup and I'm talking to him and I'm like, bro, you got to stop playing small. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, I was like, Ed, you just put in an offer on 24 properties when you still had 100 and something you could put an offer in on, right? Because my mind was playing small. So I went back the next day and put an offer in on another 127 of them or something. So now we have an offer out right now for 150 properties. So knowing now what I know, I would continue to challenge myself to play bigger, which is what you guys are doing, as a matter of fact, with the buildings and stuff. So it's huge.
Yes, and you know what? That's one of the things that you get to experience. My mentor has taught me many times that it's not what you get, it's not where you get to, it's who you become. You know, it's not about the money, it's not about the cars, it's not about the planes and all this stuff. It's who you become. And when you start hanging out with people that are higher level, you start noticing that they tend to push themselves out of their comfort zone. I was just hearing a guy on Facebook here, our good buddy, Mr. Tim Bratz, was talking about, he was thinking about buying a private jet. And the concept of even the idea of buying a private jet was scary to him. But he was looking at it and he's like, man, this is something that we need to make happen because it's scaring the shit out of me. And you guys need to always look to be, like I said, think bigger. Now, I would suggest that you start whatever actionable events you start, actionable steps you start taking in a more, I don't want to say realistic, because realistic is kind of, you know, it's here or there. It depends on how you look at it. But you have to believe that you can do it. You
Absolutely.
have to believe inside that you can do it. However, you can always be expanding that. So if you're brand new and you haven't had one fucking deal, and for example, like our boy, I bore Mark over here, I'm not sure if he's raised private money or not, but let's just say that he hasn't. And he's like, man, you know, I'm really, just go outside of your comfort zone, raise some private money. Once you raise the first 10, 20, 30,000, then guess what? Try to raise a little bit more. Try to do that again. You're constantly pushing yourself out. And if you knew back then what you knew now, you would be telling yourself to go a little bit bigger.
Absolutely.
Sure. Nice. So we got, let me see. We got questions over here coming in from Johnny Sanchez. We got Kimberly Harris in the house. We got Kelly Rojas joining us. We got our boy Jordan saying nice. Hey, thank you, Jordan. Thank you for joining us. Johnny Sanchez says, are pre-foreclosures mainly for sub-2s?
That's one really effective way to take down a pre-foreclosure, because in most cases, like absent your help, that family's moving anyways. You know what I mean? Like if you don't do something, they're going to move. So then the conversation about, look, we can help reinstate the mortgage. All the payments I make over time are going to show on your credit report and help begin to rebuild your credit. Normally, that's a pretty easy conversation.
Well, with the pre-foreclosures, they're on a set timeline, so they're motivated. And then, but subject to, that's just another tool in your tool belt, right? I mean, that's not one that you have to always roll with.
It's not. And in fact, something we teach a lot about is if a doctor were to give you a diagnosis before they actually like looked at you, that's called malpractice. And so when we walk into a situation and try and just force the subject to be the solution, we're really committing a form of malpractice ourselves. So, you know, is it right to do the lease option? Is it right to do the subject to? Is it right to get my private money lenders to come in and completely cash them out? Those are all discussions that you should have with the seller to understand what their needs are.
And that's the great thing about real estate. You know, with life in general, you're thinking very linear. And you said this in the beginning. You were thinking linear, meaning that you thought you had to go get the good job and the good this, and that. And it's just a one-way thought. You know, all of our society is like fucking sheep. They're herded down the same fucking horseshit ass thing. Go to school, then go to college, then go to university, then get a degree, then get a good job, then pop out kids, then go buy a fucking car, then go buy 2 cars, then go buy a fucking house, then go buy a boat, then go buy boom, 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 boom. You only invest in the stock market. You only put in the fucking CDs. You don't look at anything different. Everything else is scary. This is just the way that everybody does it. The great thing about real estate is it doesn't fucking care about that shit, at least real estate investing, because you could still, as through the linear thinking, you can still be like realtor, loan officer, broker, that type of shit. But when you're in the real estate investing world, especially in creative financing, it's just like what Ed said, is what the fuck does the seller want? I was talking to my friend, my speaker, and I was like, hey, you know, Chris and myself, we've actually hired some VAs and they're freaking amazing. And, you know, we told them what we're paying, and she's like, oh my God, you're what? And I'm like, look, no, whoa, you're thinking about this shit wrong. I'm giving these people an opportunity. You know, they are excited for the amount that we're paying them because it equals a lot of money in their country. You're thinking about how much it costs to live in our country. Right. What's valuable. So you have the seller here. They have a problem. What do you need, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? And not all the time is it about money. It's not about because sometimes, you know, especially if you're wholesaling, you're more likely going to hear, well, give me your biggest and best offer. Everybody wants your biggest and best offer. But when you approach somebody with a creative financial situation, you come to find out that most of the time it's not about the money. They just don't want to fuck up their credit. They need something else going on. Like in my case, the lady wanted to be able to buy a house. She already had a house lined up and everything. She wanted to be able to purchase it. She did not want to be a landlord from out of state. She did not want to deal with those headaches. You know, these were all these things that I was solving her problems by being creative. And on this property, like I said, I literally bought it with no money out of my pocket. I think I put like about $1,000 into it, changing the carpets and shit. Outside of that, that was all it was, and continue getting these renters in there. Cash flow for a few years and about to cash out a nice little check on the back end. And honestly, now that I think about it, as quickly as I sold that bitch, I probably could have got more money than the fuck I got. But who gives a fuck?
The irony about most of our transactions is like almost every transaction we do, there's something more we could quote unquote do to make more money, which like I just don't even worry about. Like I'm just gonna keep serving my sellers, my buyers, my private money, you know what I mean? And just like as long as I'm doing that.
And you can be one of the things that my mentor has taught us is that entrepreneurs are nothing but problem solvers for a profit.
Absolutely.
That's all you're just solving people's problems. If we go to the hypothetical scenario where Chris is the homeowner and he's moving on and whatever, right? I'm solving his problem, just like I did for that lady. If we go to the hypothetical scenario where Chris is the private money lender and he's only making 2% on that fucking CD and I'm going to offer him 10%, I am solving these people's problems. So we got questions coming in on the watch party. We got our girl Farron Travis over here. Hey, Farron, I'll text you later, but we said thoughts on purchasing a property sub 2 with a lease back and option to repurchase for existing owner if situation was exceptional. Man.
Yeah. I'll throw my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I mean thoughts, because I'm gonna say fuck that shit.
That's a lot of work. Yeah, what do you think, Ed? What do you think?
The explanation sounds like a whole lot of fucking work. That's how you fucking know. But anyway, Ed, sorry.
I'm never leaving an existing homeowner in that home. There's never a time, never one time. Look, I'm going to be serving them in certain ways, but one of the bottom line default ground rules is they're moving out of that house. I can't take. In fact, locally, a good friend of ours did this deal, right? And the seller is like, it closed, say, December 20th or something. And the seller was like, look, can I just stay in the house through Christmas?
It's Christmas.
Right?
Christmas
comes and goes. By February, he finally gets into court. And guess who ends up winning in court?
Wow. Exactly.
The homeowner.
Yeah, you don't wanna put yourself in that situation. I think with real estate, specifically with creative type of real estate, specifically when you're dealing with people that just got out of they just showed that they don't have their finances in order. Like they just proved to you they wouldn't have been there, especially if they're doing like a pre-foreclosure lease or whatever, right? They wouldn't have been in this situation if they hadn't proved that they don't know how to handle their fucking money. Why the fuck are you going to put that goddamn grenade under your ass and hope that it doesn't fucking go off? Like, that's just not a good fucking idea.
And then it seems like she's giving him a chance to buy it back too. Like,
I wouldn't.
That sounds like a whole lot of fucking clusterfuck. And guys, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it stupid, simple. Just keep it really fucking simple. The least amount of moving parts that you have, the easier it's going to be for everybody. If you do this and it scales here and it goes here and it's sliding to this, and dude, you're going to fuck up. They're going to fuck up. Everybody's going to get frustrated, and it's just not going to be be a pretty scenario.
Here, I got a couple questions here for you, Ed.
Let me jump one more. Let me jump one more thing real quick. The last thing is that homeowner who you're putting back in the property with the lease back option, they couldn't make the original payment. How are they going to cover your profit and your management and all that?
That's what I was saying.
Like, it'll never work. All right, hit me, Chris.
All right, so we got Richard Dowdy here. So he's asking a couple specific questions, like how do you secure taking over the payments? How do you approach the bank? So for those, I'm going to say, hey, go back a couple episodes, and Grant Kemp, he is the details guy. We want to talk more widespread with Ed, but he wants to know, where is the Exchange Networking Group? He lives in North Carolina and wants to be able to hook up with you.
What was that, Richard?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so check out our page. Our local page is Kings in Queen City, and on the events tab, it'll list them out there. It's every 4th Thursday at a spot called Broken Spoke, where if you're in our market, it's near Old Mecklenburg Brewery, and you'll see it there.
So actually, coming from Richard, also, he says, how do you secure taking over the payments?
That's what I just said, to go talk to.
Okay. Well, just on the simple side, you can either do, like, say, you can do a subject to, which is basically subject to existing financing. That's when you take over their payments. More than likely, you would set up some type of servicing company or something along those lines. Or you could do what I did, which was a lease option. So basically, I signed a lease option. I said, hey, I have the option to buy, in this particular case, I have the option to buy your property for $120,000, and I have 10 years to execute that option. In the meanwhile, I'm going to be leasing that property for you. And the amount of the lease was literally the amount of her mortgage payment. So just whatever the fuck your mortgage payment, that's what my lease cost is going to be to you.
Now, you guys want to make sure that they make the payment, right? How do you make sure that they make the payment to the bank?
In the lease option, what we've done is we've had the right to request a mortgage statement from them whenever we want. Often when we've been in those transactions, early on in the lease, we'll ask for it every month. And then later in the lease, after we've documented they're going to be paying it for a while, we'll ask for it every 3 months or something like that. It is important to differentiate that the subject to transaction is different than the assumption. And just to talk about that real quick, so an assumption is me literally going to the bank and going through their underwriting process. So if BP has a loan in his name and I want to assume his mortgage, I'm going to go to the bank and go through all their underwriting, and they're going to formally assign it to me from him, right? That's an assumption. The subject to, the bank actually isn't involved in this conversation. You know, we're just beginning to make the mortgage payments on the behalf of the seller.
That right there is answering Richard's question, who was asking, do you approach the bank? So we're not assuming the loan. We're taking it over to subject financing. So continue your point there.
So, yeah, so I mean, we begin to make the mortgage payments on behalf of the seller. The debt stays in their name. We become owners of the property, and everything keeps rolling like that. It's important for us to note that there is a potential of the due on sale clause. Anytime we talk about subject to, we should note it. I minimize that
All right,
risk.
Time the fuck out, bro, because you're just talking about, like, people don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So he just said that when you take over a subject to, there is a potential for a due on sale clause. All right, a due on sale clause means that the bank says, hey, there's something over here, we're going to call the note. Meaning that if, for example, that property that he talked about, $260,000 that he bought, let's say that they owed still $200,000 on that loan. The bank is going to say, hey, we need that $200,000 right now. Like, no, we're not no more loans or payments or whatever. And realistically, that's how do I say this? There's a possibility that it could happen. If you do everything correctly, there's a probability that it won't happen. I would, however, suggest you check out, as CashFlow Kris was saying, our boy Grant Kent. Check out the episode that we did 2 weeks ago, and he literally went into this like in detail, down to the fucking law of how you get around that and certain things that you can do to minimize the due on clause sale. But basically, he was saying that if you buy a property subject to, so you're not assuming the loan, you're just taking it over existing to the existing financing right now. There's a probability that if the bank finds out and somehow gets upset, which I don't know why they would, because they're getting their fucking payments anyway. But if they do, they could say, hey, we need the rest of our loan right now. That's basically what you're saying. So we got over here, we got Giovanni and the watch party saying, what's up, brothers? What's up, Giovanni? We got our boy Thomas Fritz from the Kingdom saying, what's good? We got a big shout out. Let's give a big shout out to Farron Travis. And she says, first private money arrived today. Totally changed. Hey. Yeah, man. And that is a life-changing event as a real estate investor. The first time that you realize that you can leverage somebody else's money and they're fucking happy to cut you a 5-6 figure check. They're fucking excited to cut you a check, because they know that they're going to get so much value on the back end.
Perform, give it back to them, and they're going to want to give it right back.
Man, so I mentioned the property that I had right here. I had a deal that was going to bring me a shit ton of money that didn't close, and a few other deals that didn't close. So I was kind of strapped for cash at this point, and I pulled out a private money loan from the property, because I already had, about $55,000 worth of equity built in there. So I put out $30,000 to pay off some other crap that I needed. I called my guy and I said, look, man, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to give you a 10% annualized return. And actually, I'm just going to give you a 10% flat fee. So you gave me $30,000. I'm going to give you fucking $3,000. We were expecting this to take somewhere between 3 and 6 months. It was his birthday yesterday or the day before. I called him and said, guess what, motherfucker? I already got this thing sold. You're going to get your money back plus your 10% in about a month. How does that sound?
Results are not typical.
Results are not typical. So we got a Rick Stone over here asking 35K example. If I loan you 35K at 10%, you pay me then back my 35K plus 35,000 over a year. Oh. Basically, yeah. So the only nuance is that if you, for example, if we keep your money for longer than a year, I'm not going to give you your money back right now. I'm going to just pay you $3,500 until the end of the term. So depending on what we agree to, you might say, hey, I am only going to lend you this money for this one particular deal. Or, hey, some people are fucking smart and they're like, dude, why the fuck do I want that money back? Because I'm just going to go sit back in my bank account and make me 2%. Are you willing to hold it for a few years and pay me 10% annualized while you hold it? Yeah. So through that process, we pay you the 35%, $3,500 a year, whether that be monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever. And then at the end of the term, you get your $35,000 back. So yeah, but you do get your principal back, plus you get the interest for a year. And Rick, if you're interested in doing something like that, let us know, because we're always looking for private money out there.
All right. So we've been talking about a lot of ways on how you basically control property, right? That's what you always want to do. You always want to be able to control property. Now, you were talking in the intro about how you made $200,000 on a deal. Did control have anything to do with that deal?
Yeah. In fact, we never owned that deal. As a matter of fact.
Let's talk about that.
Well, hey, hold on. Before you talk about that, guys, I want to make a point here.
Message.
You don't have to own it. You just have to control it. I tell people,
right?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, Brian Ponciano does not own shit. Brian Ponciano is broke. Brian Ponciano has less than $100 in his personal bank account. I don't need to have shit. I just need to control shit. I need to be able to control the different pieces of the puzzle. With that control, then you can leverage these things to do what you want. So, Ed, why don't you tell us a story of how you controlled this property that eventually you guys got a check for over $200,000 at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So it was actually, so it's the first multifamily property we bought. And we bought it in December. We didn't buy it. I should be very specific with my words here. We took control of it in December 2016.
Mm-hmm.
This property we found through a code violation list. So it turns out this property has 8 duplexes that sit on the property. It's a 2-acre lot. And of the 8 duplexes, one of them is completely boarded up. So you've got 7 duplexes that have tenants in them. And every one of those units had a code violation on them. So out of 14 units, they had 14 open code cases.
Damn.
So in like April of that year, we start hitting the sellers, and they're up in New York, and we start calling them and talking with them, and hey, we can take care of this, whatever. So I remember like we went through that whole spring, whole summer, like we'd talk with them, we'd give them the framework of what a deal would look like, and they just couldn't pull the trigger. I remember Taylor and I, we got on a call with them in October, and I was done. I was just like, look, either we're gonna do this or we're not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done going back and forth. We've given you all of the answers to everything you've asked. We've told you our background. We've told you we know the code enforcement people. We've done the video walkthroughs. We've shown you how tore up your property is over there. So we turned out in October, we got them to agree to doing a deal. We structured that as a lease option. And so we were making lease payments every month. We're technically tenants, and then we're subleasing to other tenants. When you do it on multiple units, it's often called a master lease. So if you guys have heard that word, that's the context. It means I'm leasing the whole complex.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leasing the whole complex, and then I'm subleasing individual units out to each of the tenants. So we took that down in December of 2016. Over the next couple of months, we put about $100,000 into that property to clear up different code violation issues. So we then were looking, we kind of looked at each other. The way our option worked, it was what's called an escalating option. So if we executed the option before the end of 2018, it was one price. At the end of 2019, it stepped up to another price. And at the end of 2020, it was another price. And the reason sellers do that is they want to incentivize you to kind of execute the option earlier than later. So as we were getting towards it was actually the end of 2017, we began to shop around for buyers for the property. Turns out that actually the county has it's like kind of an informal nonprofit thing where they're trying to keep low-income housing available to people who are in that market. And they actually ended up becoming the buyers for us. It took about 10 months to negotiate that sale. So dealing with a county entity takes a lot longer than a normal sale.
So by being creative,
yep.
You guys took control of a property, and
yep.
with less than a year, you guys were pulling out a check for over $200,000.
Yeah, we ended up holding it for actually a total of 20 months. Okay. We took out the check for it was like 225 or 223, something like that. We paid off, the 100,000 we had in private money we put into the deal, and the rest is all back into working capital for the business.
Nice. That's freaking nice. Awesome.
Let me give just one more piece of clarity. Our fee in that case is what's called an option release fee. So we get paid for releasing the recorded option that we had, and the transaction actually happens between the sellers and the county. Like, we never actually owned it, So that's
yeah,
how we
so
got
that's actually what I'm doing with my building. I've never officially owning. I'm just assigning over the option to this person for $55,000. So that is awesome. We got Barbara Humbrick House here. We got Lee Sutherland. We got Taylor joining us, man. We got Eldon joining us over here. We got Barbara saying happy Friday to everybody. We got Richard saying thank you. Awesome for both of the answers. We got is that your wife?
Yeah, who's Diana? Who's Diana?
Diana. Oh my God.
Hey, never trust a guy who can't outkick his field goal coverage.
Yeah. Hey, so Diana, I don't know if you know, but I'm gonna be in Charlotte here in May. So we're gonna be going. Your husband said that he can cook, and I don't fucking believe him. And he said that he knocks out some fucking amazing Mexican dish. What was that? Chicken-ladas or whatever the fuck you were?
Chilaquiles, come on.
He married a Sanchez, so
anyway, man, yeah. So anyway, she's over here. She's got her husband's back. She actually not only tagged the page, but she said their next event is March 28th for Kingston, Queen City. So guys, if you guys are in the area, make sure to check them out. We got Sonia Kemp here tagging Grand Kemp for creativecashflow.com, which is his website. Check it out. But that's all he does is creative cash flow techniques. And Ed, if you haven't checked out Grant, dude, check him out. This guy's a fucking nerd.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Comes to that shit like nerd. Very, very amazing mind. We got Taylor over here who's saying you guys are killing it. Thank you, appreciate it. We got Rick. They're saying thank you. We got Gray Cook over here. We got Sonia saying control, control, control. And guys, you have to understand. Through linear thinking, you think that the only way you can make money is by buying something, buying and selling. But fucking wholesaling, which is where I tell most people to start, you don't have to technically buy shit. You just control it. You're just selling your interest in that property. You're just assigning that contract that allows somebody else to turn around and buy it. You didn't have to have the money yourself. At the end of the day, the seller doesn't give a shit where the fuck that money comes from. They don't care if it's your bank account, somebody else's bank account, your grandma or fucking Santa Claus dropped it in a big bag of cash. They don't give a shit. They just want that fucking money. That's all they care about.
As far as making money, Luke Shelton's here. He says he has an option on a property.
What up, Luke?
So, man, I'm learning an option release fee. He wants to know, how do you get paid in the middle? I always assumed you needed to do a double close because if someone's getting financing. How about that though? Is that option fee a viable option if they're getting conventional financing?
It's actually better if they're getting conventional financing. And the reason is if you do the double close, sometimes double close is an A to B to C close, right? And so in that transaction, those of us in the middle, we're party B. Sometimes party C can't get their title insurance and stuff in place because B didn't own the property long enough, right? Mm-hmm. So what's cool about the option release fee is A can't sell the property to anyone else because you've clouded the title with your option, which is recorded.
Yes.
They go under contract A to C, and at closing, you go in and you sign a document that's called an option release. It removes your cloud from the title, and you get a fee for that. So you never are on the chain of ownership, which is also a convenient benefit to doing the option release fee.
Yes,
I
love it. And guys, I'm hoping that what you guys are getting from this show today is that there's many, many, many ways to skin a cat, multiple different ways to skin a cat. There's just so many different ways. It doesn't have to be. I was meeting with somebody yesterday. We're sitting down, we're having lunch. She's telling me, I met her many years ago. And I saw her go from, quitting her job to moving into being a realtor. But now she's like, hey, I want to move into the investment thing. And I need to save up some money. And dude, you know how many fucking people tell me that shit all the fucking time? I need to save up some money so then I can go do a deal. Why? And I'll tell you why, because they're linear thinking. They're only it only works this way. Loan officer, loan, this, that, realtor, motherfucker. What we're trying to show you guys here is that there's many different ways to do it. And even within those niches, there's even further niches to do it, depending on your situation and what benefits you and the seller the most. We got Greg Cook over here says, holy shit, that's some good information.
Greg, I want to see you in North Carolina, man.
Yeah, motherfucker, you're already there anyway. Yeah, fucking let's go. Check it out. Greg, you already know. You followed our advice. You made it over to the Kahuna boardroom, and it was fucking amazing. I didn't have to put words in your mouth. You personally said that you got a lot of information from meeting Corey and going to the Kahuna boardroom. Well, I will tell you personally, and once again, I don't even have a fucking affiliate link, man.
Yeah,
I don't have a fucking affiliate link. What the fuck is this shit? Come on.
We gotta fix that. We gotta fix that for sure.
Check it out. I highly suggest you go check out the Kingdom. Awesome. It's a community. You know, it's a little bit further more than just, hey guys, we're just a group and just our networking group. It's a lot stronger community, and it's very hard to explain unless you actually experience it yourself. And then the longer you're in it, the more experience you see how that goes. But let me see. Did you ask Luke's question?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. So we got over here, Farron Travis saying go Nuggets. Yep. We got Thomas Fritz over here who's saying, want to make sure I'm staying ethical here. I have a seller who wants to pay me 6% of sale. Can I collect that as a wholesale fee, possibly $2 million deal?
Are you a realtor?
So this answer depends if you're a realtor or not first. My advice for anyone who's not a realtor who wants to do that deal is contract the property with the seller at the discount. So take the 2 million minus 6%, contract the property at that price as a true wholesale, and then mark it up to the buyer as through the assignment fee.
Yes. So it's all about being creative, guys. If you're not a realtor, don't go in there charging a fucking commission. However, whatever 6% is, just charge that amount on a fucking assignment fee.
Yeah. Just make sure you're a part of the contract.
You are assigning this contract for XYZ amount of money, and you agree to pay for it. Who gives a fuck? It could be exactly 6% on the fucking dot. Who gives a shit? Because you're not listing it and you're not getting a percentage of the deal. You are getting a set amount.
So for Thomas, if you just contract I did the math real quick. I think I got this right, but if I didn't, if you contract it for the 1.8, then you're going to have 6% above that if you sell the property at 2 million, and you can take that as an assignment. That'd be the advice.
120 grand. Realtors are going to do 3 or 6% of anything, man.
Yes. So we got Kimberly Harris here saying no more linear thinking, no more linear mentality. Guys, that you're only limited by your own belief. You're only limited by your own bullshit. Oh my God. That's why I was so glad that the Kingdom happened. I was so glad that I just did what I felt in my gut to be like, y'all motherfuckers are straight up fucking full of shit.
And let me talk about that for a minute. So obviously VP and I are buddies. The reason he came into the community, the Kingdom, was on my recommendation. I really appreciated his heart. I thought he could have something to share. But think about inviting one of your friends to an event you're hosting, a high-level mastermind event, and the first thing he tells people is that line. One of my dudes looks at me and is like, they're a little concerned, but
well, it's funny, and I shared this story. So Jordan, who is one of the founders there at Kingdom, he didn't know me personally. We were connected online, but we never really interacted too much. However, he came up to me, I think it was the third day when we went to Topgolf, and he came up to me and he was like, hey man, can I give you some constructive criticism? And I'm like, oh fuck man, here you go. Like, this motherfucker's he's gonna tell me something, right? And he's like, I don't change a fucking thing. He's like, I had 8 or 9 people come up to me at the end of your thing and said, I realized I'm full of shit. Like, I'm realized that I'm completely full of shit, and I'm so glad. And actually, you know what? I had somebody that I was talking to yesterday too, and I'm not going to point out who they are, but I was having lunch with somebody, once again, the linear mentality. And I was saying, dude, you motherfuckers are straight up full of shit. And this person was trying to be, oh, that doesn't sound polite. And I'm, fuck your fucking politeness.
Right.
Because you need to be shooken up sometimes. If you stay in the same fucking bubble with the same fucking bullshit that you've always had, you will continue getting the same shit. Sometimes it takes somebody like me to boom, 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 boom. You motherfuckers are fucking full of shit. And honestly, the people at the Kingdom really appreciated that message.
Let me add one more thing, and this was a takeaway I had from your mentor, Jeff, when we were out there. One of the reasons that mastermind groups are so important is we don't have time to become expertise in all of these different things.
Nope.
Right? And so the power of a mastermind group is you have someone you can call when you have a question about notes, or you have someone you can call when you got a question about Like I'm becoming a subject matter expert in creative finance deals because we've done enough of them. Well, if you haven't done one of those and you need better understanding, then having someone like me within that spider web you described is super, super powerful.
So guys, you see that right there. Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself.
Exactly.
Guys, learn from the mistakes of others. This is where networking comes. And I've said it many, many times. I'm a pretty smart guy because I learn from my mistakes, which most people don't even learn from their mistakes. But I am a goddamn fucking genius because I learn from other people's mistakes. I see what's working for them. I see what's not working for them. And when you go to these groups and you're hanging around individuals, when you come, even right now, to somebody, the person that said, hey, I didn't know what a subject to was. So the person asking, hey, how does this go? Would you approach a bank? How would this go? Everything else, you're learning from other people's mistakes. You know, we've made the mistakes. We've learned from other people that made these mistakes. So now we're giving you the information. And once again, if you guys are hearing us on a podcast, if you guys are watching us on a replay, every single Friday at noon, Arizona time, AZ Flip Guys. So Facebook.com/AZ Flip Guys. Every single Friday at noon, you can catch us live and you can ask questions and say comments like most of these people over here.
Yeah, we got everybody coming in saying, oh, BP told me I was full of shit. The list is going to be too long. We can't even go.
Man, and guys, that is sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need it. We interviewed Carmen and Darius. They told the story about how I fucking put my foot up in their ass and they left dinner all pissed off. Called me a day or two later and said, you know what, the stuff that you said, like you were really right about that. We had fucking Daniel and Lisa who said, I told them, man, go fuck yourself because you're not going to use this shit anyway. And mind you, the person that I was talking to yesterday, I'm like, here's what you need to do, but don't even worry about it because you're not going to fucking do this shit anyway. Why are you trying to say that? You don't even know. And I'm like, I know, because most people don't do this shit.
They don't.
And by the way, if that shit pisses you off, prove me wrong, motherfuckers. Prove me wrong. God damn. We got Greg Cook over here saying, make the spread. He's talking about Minefield. And you're right, Greg. And, you know, Greg's been hearing us and watching us for a long time, so he's heard me say this example. But the best way to walk across a minefield is to follow the footsteps of somebody that has successfully made it to the other side. And real estate in general life in general is a fucking minefield, but real estate even more, and creative real estate even furthermore. So make sure that you're following the footsteps of people that are actually doing it and doing it right. You want to make sure that you're constantly learning, and that all comes from networking. We got watch party, man. We still got people coming in on the watch party. We got Thomas Fritz here saying, thank you for that answer. We got Dennis Daughtry saying, any thoughts on getting more direct seller leads? I'm not sure what that means because I'm not sure who wouldn't want direct seller leads.
Right. When we first started, like I mentioned, we really just focused on the pre-foreclosure leads. So if I'm in a situation where I don't feel like I have enough leads, my strong suggestion, and I know people, teach different things about this, is I would go and door knock every pre-foreclosure lead I could. If I had more time than like money, like, I can't mail to all of them. I can't set up a cool, slick website. I can't do SEO, whatever. I'm going to go knock on doors. And my opinion is if someone does that for a week, they would have a deal. If they really, really went after it, they would have a deal.
So Dennis is asking the same bullshit question that everybody fucking asks. How do I find more leads? Motherfucker, he just told you. Go knock on people's door. Or you can pay somebody who's already put that shit together. But realistically, and we talked about this before, and I'll say this once more. If you want to guarantee yourself that you will be successful in real estate in the long run, learn how to successfully door knock. Learn how to door knock. However long it takes your fucking pussy ass to get out there in front of people and grow that fucking hair on your goddamn nuts where you're not afraid to be told no, to go fuck yourself, and eventually to be able to lock down deals and to do this consistently. Now, I'm not telling you to stay there. I'm not saying that you have to door knock the rest of your fucking life or that's the only way to get it. But I'm telling you that if you don't have any fucking money, if you don't have anything else other than time, go fucking door knock. And I guarantee you, if you successfully learn how to door knock, it doesn't matter what part of the industry you get into, you will be successful because door knocking is by far the hardest aspect of fucking doing this business. And a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you know, it'd be easier if I just cold call them. Can I just like send them an email? Can I just like send them a list? Can I just like send them a letter? Like, I don't really want to bother anybody. Motherfucker, grow some goddamn nuts. Seriously, shit. So you see, Dennis says, so I'm a novice in this area. Obviously, you're a fucking novice because everybody asks the same fucking stupid ass questions. Where do you get your leads? How do you get your leads? How do I find leads? Seriously, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Do the exact same opposite of what everybody else does. Because when you go and you buy one of these lead lists and then you send to these motherfuckers, more than likely they have a stack of 20 or 30 other dumbasses just like you sending the exact same bullshit ass yellow letter that they heard from the exact same dumbass fucking teacher somewhere that doesn't even do this himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got some local people. They definitely don't do what they teach. That's for sure.
Man,
what you got on that, Ed?
So, all right. So talking about mailing, right? So Taylor and I have only mailed, I think, like 3 times in all of our experience, right? But remember that first house that I did the lease option on where the guy moved to Atlanta? After I bought the house, I went out to the mailbox and I cleaned the mailbox out. And whose fucking mailer was sitting there but mine? Like my own mailer is sitting in the mailbox. And not only that, it was for like $20,000 more than what we ended up doing the whole deal for. Because, you know, when you do the mailing, you're just like trying to put a number in and trying to use a formula and making an assumption. So we got a better deal because of the networking that we had done. And by the way, the seller never even responded to our letter.
Yep. So. And so to answer that question here for you, Dennis, the best way to network, I mean, the best way to get leads, and Greg Cook is answering it right here. Network. Get around there, get around people. So I door knocked when I first started. When I partnered up with an investor in my local market who was getting the leads. So they were finding the deal, they were finding the leads, they were scrubbing it to make sure that they had equity. And then there was a lead list and said, hey man, go see if these guys are interested. The majority of those stuff were pre-foreclosure. However, you can buy a pre-foreclosure list and go knock them out yourself. Nonetheless, though, as I started doing this and moving, a friend of mine said, you know what? You know where I make the majority of my money is networking. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Dude, shut the fuck up. Fucking, you got a white boy. You don't know what the fuck you're fucking talking about. Get your fucking dumbass Ohio State ass out of here. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Damn,
and he was like,
why are you so angry, man?
Oh, man, because that was the way I was back then. Plus, you don't know. This motherfucker was like 21. He came in, this cocky little shit, came into the fucking office and started crushing it. And to make things even worse, he graduated from Ohio State. So they always do this stupid O-H-I-O. Dude, they do that shit so much. You just want to punch motherfuckers in the fucking Anyway, he told me, networking. I started listening to him, and I started networking. Throughout my wholesale career, I never once sent out letters. Throughout my wholesale career, I only put out bandit signs once. Throughout my whole wholesale career, I only door knocked for probably 6 months or so. The majority of my deals for the whole 5 years that I was wholesaling all came from networking, from meeting other people that were actively in the business that needed to find a buyer or a seller or something in those lines. Just literally connecting people, doing this shit. Like, oh yeah, you want this? All right, well, there you go, boom. And now I made some money. So we got let me see, we got Farron Travis over here. It says put a house under contract Wednesday from a lead because I yelled over the fence. I heard some homeowners in the yard.
That's why Sonia says you got some hairy nuts.
Yeah, that's why Sonia did say you got some hairy nuts. Yeah, big shout out. And honestly, and if you guys would see Farron, she's this little short, freaking inconspicuous person. If she can jump over a fence and yell because she heard somebody in the back, you can do the exact same thing. And it's about doing those little tiny actions that nobody else is willing to do. Once again, people are very comfortable. Well, let me just get a lead list. Let me send out some mailers and hope that I get some phone calls. It takes a little bit more balls to then, you know what, can I, let me find this lead list and let me go door knock. Or actually, no, not door knock. Let me do a cold calling. Oh, man, that's a little bit scary. But you know what takes even more nuts is to go and door knock. And absolutely, those people, when we suggest people to door knock, they always give us some type of excuse. Well, it's because you're a fucking bitch. It's because you're a fucking pussy. It's because you don't have the goddamn balls to go up there and do what you're supposed to do by people that have actively done it. Like I've door knocked a bunch. Have you door knocked before?
Absolutely. No, when we first started, that's all we had. Like, yeah, we were out networking, but we hadn't developed a reputation yet in the market. So like that was only as effective as it could be. So early on, the early days, we door knocked for everything. And in fact, I kind of wish sometimes I had more time in my business now that I could be doing it myself. Now I pay wholesalers to do it for me. But I mean, my close rate at like a seller's door is huge.
Yes.
So I kind of miss the days where I really got to be out and doing that. Now, unfortunately, we're kind of at a scale where I don't get to do it as much. But
my mentor constantly reminds me that it's not what you get, it's not what you achieve, it's who you become.
Yeah.
Door knocking is the exact same example. Yeah, it's fine if you get a deal or two, that's fine. But the person you become, the resiliency, the thick skin that you gain from being able to not get bothered by people telling you no, by people telling you to go fuck themselves, by learning to overcome objections, by learning how to be funny, how to be witty, how to just start off, how to just even kill the bullshit that they were already gonna fucking tell you in the beginning, because you already know they're gonna be on some bullshit. You already say, hey, look, here's how we're dealing with this. You learn all that through trial and error. And one of the things that I talk about all the time is ready, fire, aim. Just take your fucking shot. And if you miss, knock on the next door. Who gives a fuck? There's going to be countless leads. There is forever going to be a fucking endless supply of people that don't know how to handle their fucking money. And if you look at and you really pay attention to how society's being brought up nowadays, you can really tell that it's going to be even worse. It's going to be a growing problem where more people are not going to know how to handle their fucking money. You have a lot of practice out there, and it's not about what you get. I mean, if you get a deal or two, that's awesome. That's what we're here for. We're all here to make money, but it's the person you become. I guarantee you that somebody who's door knocked for a year or two straight and has done it successfully will, in the long run, be far more successful than people that just started off and maybe, put out some letters. Even if those people got deals, they'll be able to, their communication skills are better, their resiliency is better, their overcoming objections is better, their wittiness, their charisma, all that stuff is better, because that's all the stuff that you have to chime in and you have to really tune in and refine when you're door knocking. So guys, stop making fucking excuses. I mean, if Farron's little freaking short ass or little 5'1" ass over there can do that, then you can do that too. Oh my God. We got
hey B, let me jump in with one more point about
he says it takes persistence to be a door knocker. Yes, it does. No is next opportunity, says Sonia. Oh my God. There you go. What were you gonna say, Ed?
Yeah, so one other thing about door knocking that in my opinion it builds is most of us who are doing really well in this business, it's because we actually care about the people who we're doing transactions with, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we're first getting started in the business, we're so busy thinking about the numbers and the technically how we're going to do it and all this, that sometimes our heart doesn't come through and we can't show that very well. What door knocking did for me is it taught me how I could really express that very clearly to these sellers who are in really tough spots, and like actually express empathy for them in a way that didn't throw off the business conversation, but showed that I was actually there trying to help. And that's one other thing that doesn't come through in like a yellow letter or an email or a ringless voicemail or a text. Like they're not going to see that I actually care. They're not going to look in my eyes and actually see the empathy that I have, because I've been in foreclosure before. So I understand what it's like when the banks are sending all of their attorneys and stacks of paperwork. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that really helps for people who are knocking on doors as well.
And once again, guys, that is a skill that you build. There's people that are naturally good at that better than others. However, that's a very, very learnable skill, and you will be amazing. You will eventually get amazing if you're not good at it naturally, by what my mentor Jeff was saying, persistence. It takes persistence to be a door knocker, and that's why most people find excuses not to ever do it. So you've been able to build a business. You've been able to build a portfolio. You've even been able to buy companies outside of real estate, right? Through
we have talked about that. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about that? Because it's not just real estate. And I tell you guys all the time, real estate is just a vehicle. It's just one vehicle out of the countless vehicles out there. So why don't you tell us about that business that you bought?
Yeah, so actually we've bought 3 businesses on creative financing. So the first was a carpet cleaning business. That was actually the first one that we tried to go that route. The second was a pressure washing business. We bought that on seller financing. And the third is what's called a resurfacing business. So it's to refinish bathtubs and sinks and countertops and things like that, as opposed to having completely pull them out and replace them. And all three of those businesses were bought through seller financing.
Nice, nice, nice. So for people that don't know what seller financing is, why don't you explain that to them in the easiest understandable way?
So in real estate, when you take possession of a property through seller financing, they place a note on the property. So they have a secured interest in that asset. In the business world, the type of seller financing that we've done is unsecured. So basically we have a promissory note for the amount of money that we're financing the businesses for. And over time we make payments on that debt, and eventually they'll be paid in full. And at the settlement, or at what would be closing in the real estate world, we take possession of all of the assets. So that's, the telephone numbers and the customer lists and the websites and the trucks and the equipment and all of that stuff. So it's been really neat to watch how that's progressed.
So guys, when you understand and you learn creative financing, not only can you do real estate deals, but you can also buy different types of businesses, because at the end of the day, it's the exact same fucking concept. What do you want, Mr. or Mrs. Seller? What is most important to you? What are you going to do with the big old fucking bag of money anyway?
So the carpet cleaning business is a great example of this. So the guy, we called him to do service for us. He's a guy who's done a lot of work for us in the past. And he said, hey guys, I'm really excited to come out for you. But by the way, this is the last time I can come out and service your home. I'm closing the business because I'm moving to Myrtle Beach. Oh man, that sucks. Well, look, we'd really like to talk with you about the business. We go and sit with him and talk about the business. Well, what are you going to do with the business? Oh, I'm going to sell it. Oh, well, why are you selling it? I've got to put a down payment down on a house in Myrtle Beach. Well, what if I gave you the down payment? Oh, well, that would probably work, but then I have the payments over time. Well, what type of house are you looking at? Oh, it's in this price range. Well, what do you think payments on that would be? Oh, it'll be this. Well, what if we just gave you the down payment, and then on this note, we just paid you, $1,500, $2,000, whatever the payment is, right? What if I just paid you that every month? Could I take control of the business if we could work it out like that? Sure, no problem.
Guys, and that all goes by asking the right questions, seeing how you can help somebody out, and being of benefit. So he was able to take over somebody's business with little or no money out of his own pocket by just being creative. As opposed to having what everybody thinks, oh, I got to save up all this money and have it all saved up right there so one day I can buy me my little business. No, motherfucker, just be creative. Oh my God. We got a Felix Corral. We got Melissa Howe over here saying, my dude.
That's my girl. She's killing it in the Charlotte market.
That's what's up. That's what's up, guys. So anyway, we are here towards the end of our show. We're already about an hour and a half into this motherfucker. I am so glad to have, first of all, I'm so glad that you reached out to me when you did. And I'm so glad that we've been able to connect and interact. I'm really, really glad that you brought me into the kingdom. It has been an amazing experience for me. I know it's been an amazing experience for Kris. And I know that the members of the kingdom really get a lot out of it. As I progress, I start to realize more and more how different I am, even amongst a room full of different people. So to be able to have a environment where people genuinely care and they really, really pay attention. That was one of the things I did my second speech over here in Dallas, and the people that were there the first time came up to me and they were giving me their feedback. And one of the things that I heard, which actually I got in your letter, and I do have that letter, by the way, they were like, I didn't know how you were going to top last one, but holy fuck, what the hell was that? And even within then, I got certain feedback. Hey, here's what I think you can do to make it better. And it's just been an amazing interaction. And because of networking, because of getting to know people, we walked away from that event with 3 potential multifamily leads, different leads for us to partner up with other people in that event. People who are a little bit less experienced than us now have an opportunity to partner up with us because they decided to make an investment in themselves and go to one of these events. So we have the thing here coming up on May. When is it? The end of May, May 20 something, right?
Yeah, 24th, 5th, and 6th.
Yes, yes. So Angel over here is saying, bro, teach me, bro, pay me.
No.
And here's the thing, motherfuckers, there is nothing given in this world for free, okay? There is nothing given in this world for free. If
Except
you're
for flipping Fridays.
Yeah. And even then, even then it's not free, because you are investing your time and spending an hour, hour and a half watching this. Whether you're watching us live, whether you're watching a replay, you're literally spending that time. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this, in the Kingdom Real Estate group, I dropped the video last week where I went an hour and 20 minutes, 130 minutes specifically on the mindset, answered a few questions. It was an amazing one. If you guys are in the Kingdom and haven't checked it out, make sure that you check out that video. You can just search my name on the top bar. However, I continued listening to it. I have invested time myself in watching my own video to A, not only critique myself and learn what I can do better and how can I deliver my message better, but B, to learn the shit that I said, because I shared some really good information. And once again, I'm not saying that to pat my own back. I'm just saying that I knew for a fact that this was really good information. I needed to invest. So even though we're not charging, quote unquote, anything for the AZ Flip, guys, you're still paying it with your time. And guys, you are either going to pay somebody money or you're going to pay with all your time, energy, and effort for you to try to figure this shit out yourself. So Angel had said, if you are serious, I'll send you a message. I'll let you know what my personal one-on-one mentorship costs. We can talk about that there. Other than that, is there anything else that you want to say, Ed, here before we let you go, brother?
Hey, I just appreciate you and Chris, what you guys continue to do for, everyone out in the real estate community with AZ Flip guys specifically is pretty impressive. I mean, the type of people who you guys have had on and the subjects you've covered are pretty neat. Thanks for what you do for us within the Kingdom. Look forward to seeing you in May, brother. It'll be good.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I know that we did our joint video. Chris is probably going to go in there and do his own video. As you guys can tell, he's more of the strong, quiet type, but he's very analytical. So he's more into the numbers and the specifics about things. We got Greg Cook who says, I'll work for free. And guys, honestly, the power of working for free. And we mentioned this in our show last week. Our intern, JD, we started off as just a fucking intern. We actually offered to pay him because he was an intern. We were going to pay him very little anyway, but we offered to pay him nonetheless. And he's like, absolutely not. I want to work for free. He then aligned himself with Chris, basically started following around, helping because he lived closer to your office. So he started going all over the place. And before you know it, they had partnered up on some deals. He had borrow some money and they did some stuff. And now they partnered up on some new builds, all because he worked for free, man. Holy shit, man. Ed, so once again, for me personally, thank you for bringing me into the Kingdom. It's been one of the better experiences that I have had with real estate groups out there, real estate, the Facebook group itself. And once again, guys, before you start asking, you do have to pay for that fucking group. And if you are interested in paying for that group, contact Ed. And once again, I don't have a affiliate link. I'm not getting a fucking commission out of this. I just find it that valuable, regardless of your level that you're at, just to be surrounded by people, just to see the videos that people put in from all levels, from the beginning. Hey guys, I'm just getting started, and this is my first video walking into the title company, to this motherfucker who has raised billions of dollars from Wall Street, talking about creating and doing notes and just leveraging the shit out of things. I mean, it's just all kinds of good stuff. So I am excited to be in Charlotte. If you guys are going to be in Charlotte, make sure that you are there. Ed, do me a favor. When you get off of this, on the comments, put the information for the Kingdom Connect. I know that we're not completely sold out, but we're a lot sold out. Yeah, guys. I mean, it's wild because since I'm on the ground in Charlotte, I'm responsible for a lot of the logistics, and we're getting a room full of capacity. It's pretty wild. But anyways, thanks for having me on the show. Anyway, if you guys are there, Ed, if you can do me a favor, just put it on the bottom in case anybody is interested, anybody in the Charlotte area. And if you're not, we have people flying in from fucking Australia. Don't tell me you can't come because you live in Florida or because you live in New York or you live in California. Go fuck yourself. We got people coming in from Australia. Holy shit, man. Man, we got Max over here who's saying Charlotte. Hope to see you there in Charlotte. We got Angel saying sounds good. I'll message you. Guys, are we on episode number 90?
Number 90 today.
Number 90 today, man. Holy shit. This has been an awesome experience for us to be able to give back. We are looking into starting a different channel. We're going to continue with the AZ Flip Guys, as we talked about. What's the name of the new show that we're going to be doing?
To be determined.
To be determined. I thought we already settled on the name.
Nope.
No? All right. Well, either way, we are going to be doing a show with the Propelio channel. We're actually going to be doing a different type of show than the AZ Flip Guys. And we're talking specifically more about cash flow itself. But we are going to continue with the AZ Flip Guys. So if you guys have found value in this, make sure that you share it. Make sure that you share it to your groups. Make sure that you tag your friends on the comments. Make sure that you share this to your friend's page. Anybody that you know that would find value on it. Because as I said, we're not selling anything. We're not pitching anything. We're not doing anything other than just adding value to you guys. And if you guys have heard us, you know, we're always talking about cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. And at the end of our show, we always say, you know, you want to flip for cash, but make sure you hold for wealth. And creative financing is just another way that allows you to hold for wealth or control for wealth without physically having to put any money out of your own fucking pocket. God damn, this is a great fucking show, man. This is a good fucking episode. So anyway, guys, I am fucking hungry as hell. I need to go smoke me some weed. I need to text somebody. I need to respond to some stuff. So that is CashFlow Kris. This is CashFlow Creator. We got our boy Ed Peugh over there. We want to remind you once again to flip for cash. But more and more importantly, make sure you hold for wealth. Y'all, see you next week.
See you, Ed.
Later, guys.